Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of The Fishing Teacher. Thanks for checking out today's video, much appreciated. Today we're going to be giving some tips and advice on how to fish flooded weeds and grass and all that type of stuff in the springtime when the water comes up. Man, it's a great type of area to catch fish in. So I'm going to give you guys some good tips you might be able to use to catch some nice fish this spring. Also, guys, I just want to remind you, if you haven't seen it, yesterday we were talking about here on the fishing channel, Fishing Teacher, we also offer memberships now, where if you become a member of the channel, you get access to my personal email address. If you're interested in becoming a member, just go to my Fishing Teacher YouTube homepage, and you'll see a little button that says join there, and that gives you all the information. Much appreciated. Okay, guys, we're in an area here. It's got some flooded weeds and grass. I'm gonna show you what to look for here. So let's take a look. Okay, guys, here's a prime example of like what it looks like in the springtime of the year when you got some grass and weeds are flooded. Now, these are yellow flowers, but a lot of different lakes across the country have different type of emergent vegetation, you know, just like water willows and that type of stuff. So a lot of it here, guys, it depends on the water level, how much water is actually in these weeds here. That's going to determine your technique and how you want to fish. Now, if you don't have very much water in the grass, say for example, and again, it's relative to water clarity, because in the dirty, if the water's dirtier, you'll be able to get away with shallow water a little bit more, but if it's clearer, maybe not. But here's my rule of thumb. Say on these outside flowers here, you know, the ones that are just very the deepest, if you have like water depth that is like less than 1.5 feet or so on the outside part of this, 1.5 feet or 2 feet, you need to concentrate on these outside areas. And sometimes the fish will even get away from the grass. They relate to the grass sometimes, but they may be in front of it. So try to target these deeper ones here. Now, you could fish them like with a Cinco, maybe a swim jig, maybe a buzzbait, a topwater, floating worm, or fluke, something like that. Just something you can work along the outside. Now, if the water is higher, say for example, where you've got some decent water depth back in the thicker part of the flowers, let's say for example, the thickest part of those flowers, you've got 2.5 feet of water depth, say 2 to 3 feet of water in those flowers. That's when guys with fish are going to be in the thickest part of that. You can go through there and you can flip a creature bait, flip a jig, something like that. You can also, you know, get out just a little bit further and maybe fish a swim jig or something out in front of them. But what you want to do is penetrate that thicker cover back in there. And it's all laid out different because, you know, emergent vegetation has different densities of thickness. So you're going to have to really let that determine your technique. So that's the main thing you want to remember when you're determining how to fish this type of stuff is it's a combination of a couple things. It's a combination of the water clarity, the water temperature, and the water depth that the vegetation is in. That's going to dictate your technique a lot, and it's going to dictate how deep you want to fish. Usually, for the most part, if I'm fishing water visibility that has like maybe less than 18 inches in it, that's when you can fish your bigger baits, your power baits, maybe like a spinner bait or a chatterbait or flipping a jig. And then if you've got cleaner water, say that water visibility is over 2 foot, that's when the more subtle techniques are going to work out, like throwing a weightless Cinco up there or a fluke or a floating worm, you know, something in those terms. Another thing with this is time of day is critical. These areas are always better early and late in the day or under low light conditions. Those fish that are pulled up in the thicker part of the weeds, under low light conditions, they're going to swim out to the edges, and that's when you'll be able to catch them like on your top waters and your moving baits. But once the sun comes up, you may have to get back in there a little bit thicker and penetrate. Anyway, guys, it's one of the best structures you can fish, and not just in the spring, but if the water comes up in the summer or the fall, it can be good too. So give it a try. I hope it guys helps you out. We'll see y'all.